Hey guys, just picked up the P38K pack off the Guardian store. I've had a few games in it, so I'm trying to go over my initial opinions, whether I think you should buy it, and how I've been flying it. So the main advantage this plane gets is its high altitude performance and general climb rate at all altitudes. I think I went into a test flight at a 20-degree climb at full WEP. Took me about 5 minutes to get to about 7,500 K, which is incredible, especially for a twin engine fighter. And you can see here the amazing engine performance. I'm energy fighting a Ki-61. Now this G2 trop is going to come in. Now the G2 is a 4.3 BR, this plane is a 5.3, so this is a down tier. But as you can see, that's a BF-109. We're easily out energy fighting him here. Now maybe I should have gone for the BF-109 in this scenario, but I decided to go for the Ki-61 instead. The more observant among you would have noticed that this plane's roll rate isn't the best. And as we kill the Ki-61, sorry, we're going to level out the nose. Use this other plane's advantage, its straight line speed. So now we're just getting some separation, we're just extending away from the furball. You can do this in this plane. So like I say, the engine performance, the climb rate and the straight line speed, especially at high altitude, this is the main advantages of this plane. Especially if you use manual engine controls. You can turn surprisingly well, especially if you use your flaps. I think your takeoff flaps will be fine to up around about 400 kilometers an hour, plus or minus a few kilometers an hour. You do turn very well though. So the main disadvantages are going to be your roll rate and your rip speed. You think your rip speed's about 790, about 800 kilometers an hour at low altitude. So this plane you have to play it as a boom and zoomer, just like all the other P38s in the trees, but with a pretty low rip speed. It's a bit compromised in this role, especially if you're going to dive down on enemies like what I'm doing here. This probably isn't the best example because he isn't massively below us, but as you can see, the faster we get, it becomes harder for us to weigh in. And we're getting a rip speed warning at about 660. Now we are at about 5,000 meters altitude, so the rip warning is a lot lower than it would be on ground level, just because of the thickness. But as you can see, we've got plenty of power to do these vertical maneuvers. So I was initially going to go and chase after this BF-109, but I think it's a lot better to keep my teammates alive in that furball. So the P38K is a rare vehicle. Guardian only allows you to buy it I think it's once a year or every few years they release the pack. Currently got this in the War Thunder summer sale. It's available now for about €31 with a 40% discount. Now I picked up this plane just because I'd been wanting it for a while. It is kind of a collector's item, just because of the rarity. So this Zero is going to stall himself out in front of our guns. We wouldn't have been able to maneuver with him, but we're going to put it into about a 25-degree climb. You can see we're holding on to our energy pretty well, especially for a twin engine fighter. We've climbed about 1,000 meters in about 20 seconds. It's very good performance in the climb. Well, like I was saying, I picked up this plane just because I've wanted it for a while. It is a battle rating 5.3. You do get the the best premium bonuses. You get 720% silver line booster. But this plane is a pure boom and zoomer. Maybe a high altitude energy fighter if you have a distinct energy advantage as you go into a merge. So I wouldn't really recommend, from what I can tell, I've only had a few games, I wouldn't recommend it to people who either don't like the American boom and zoom playstyle or don't have much patience. Now all the people that are left in this game, we've got 2 enemy bombers and an enemy BF-109. He's going to show himself later. And we're just going to be cruising for a while, so I'm just going to talk. So the price, €31, is about 29 British pounds. It's quite steep. In the bundle you do get the Pacific campaign, but I do already have it. So for me it wasn't really worth I didn't really get anything else with it. Now paying £31 for a plane, which a lot of people have issue with, and it's very understandable. It is a lot of money for one sitting, especially for a plane such as the P38K, which it's got very mixed opinions in the War Thunder community. You've got a few big YouTubers that don't like it, then you've got the few, like, I won't say smaller YouTubers, but the West. Yeah, on YouTube you kind of have the all-round YouTubers, which are the big ones, which fly everything. Then you've got the small YouTubers that just fly jets, and a lot of them are more skilled, or the massive ones are more. The big War Thunder YouTubers, they've got better personalities than they have got skill. Whereas the little niche players, they've got more skill than personality, if you know what I mean. But anyway, a few months ago there was a bit of a hoo-ha over a certain German YouTuber who criticised this plane quite a lot. And I can see why he was criticising it. It is hard to get guns on the target, especially when you're going at speed. It does kind of make it hard to purely boom and zoom this plane. But from the games I've had, I've not been disappointed. You can out-climb enemies, you can outrun enemies. You can do Shandails pretty well, especially against the turn fighters. This thing absolutely destroys turn fighters. So I've played a few games against Zeros, G55Ss, Spitfires. You can just extend, go into a shallow climb, turn back. When they try and pitch up to shoot you, you can just go vertical, do a vertical spiral climb, come back down on top of them and kill them. It is a really good plane. The armament, you get 4 50 cals with one single 20mm. All the guns are located in the nose. I think you get 150 rounds with the cannon, and you get 2,000 rounds of 50 cals. So 500 rounds per gun. I think that is a great armament. You will run out of 20mm pretty soon. The rate of fire isn't that high, so you do have quite a lot of trigger time. But even when you run out of 20s, 450 cals, they're perfectly fine of killing pretty much anything. You might have to get more shots on target to kill, but they will destroy anything. They won't miss. Well, they won't miss as long as you aim well, but they'll still destroy. 450 cals in the nose, all converging on the same point, absolutely lethal. Now that miss there, that was purely me being bad at aiming. It wasn't really compression or the fault of the plane, just my inexperience. But as you can see, we go into a vertical, and I can out-turn him with the use of my landing flaps. Don't be scared to use landing flaps when you're doing vertical manoeuvres, especially when you're at the lower speed. It really does boost your turn rate. And this is just classic boom and zooming playstyle. I'm going to miss my shots again here. Do manage to get a crit, but it's not really worth anything. But instead of following him through a turn, you go up for a little bit. I type in the team chat to tell him his crit. So now he's trying to run. We've got altitude advantage when we're diving on him. You can use it as a pseudo boom and zoom / energy fighter. It's obviously not, if it's a 1v1 and you've both got equal energy, then just run away, because BF-190 probably will outturn you. Now he does a smart thing and he turns inside me. If I fought him, I'd have crashed. But I do have something a little bit shady here. I do go pretty much fully vertical, but he doesn't have the energy to follow me. We're going to gun back down on top of him. And I lose track of him because of the fucking War Thunder mechanics. If you lose track of them for a second, it just goes completely off. And there's nothing much this guy can do. He's going to turn in a minute and I am going to get the kill. But we're coming to the end of the game, so I'm just going to give her my conclusion. So with a price of about £30 British, it is quite hard to justify buying this. Or it's quite hard for me to justify recommending you to buy this, especially if you don't really like boom and zooming, or you don't really like the American tree in general. I bought this because I quite enjoy, I do enjoy boom and zooming and energy fighting. But another point to mention is this is a rare vehicle. They don't sell it that often, so if you are a collector, I would recommend getting it if you are serious. But I've had a great time flying it. You can earn a lot of money with it. You'll outclimb pretty much everything. You'll outrun pretty much everything at high altitude. But I love it. I'm not the most experienced pilot with it, so you might want to look at other YouTubers. I've got a few more hours in it, but I really like it. I hope this was insightful, and I'll see you in the next video.